Yes?
Yes.
100 conversations. You can find a buyer or seller and get them an escrow.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't, if it's no, it's okay, because we can do the math another way. Bob? Wayne? Sure? 100? Karen?
Yep.
Mark? Say yes. Nope. I'm not going to say everybody's name. Yep, yep. Anybody think maybe it's 200? Or they'd be more comfortable with the 200 number? Not that I'm not saying you want to do that, but certainly if you talk to 200 people, you could find a deal. So just double the math we're going to do. All right. So let's say it's 100 people that we talk to lead to a closing. Fair?
Yes.
The agreement. What's the average sales price? I showed it earlier. You probably wrote it down.
516.
680.
Right now 680. The average is
The
680.
average,
The median is 580.
660. I don't want to write 3 sixes.
669.
And what's it? All right. Do 2.5% of that. Somebody, come on, calculator. You are realtors.
13.2. 2% is 13.2.
Oh, I want 2.5.
Then at 300, it's 15,000. 15.
6,700. Now, we shouldn't need a calculator for this. How much is each of these conversations worth?
Just about.
Take that number and divide it into that.
167.
Each con.
What's 99 divided into that? No, I want the number.
168. 168. 169. $2 more.
168.50.
168.
That's how much no means. Per no. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So what you're saying is every time we get a no, we should be like,
Cha-ching! 2 weeks ago, I was running the Coronado meeting, and I said, if I said, okay, as the owner of the office, everybody this week who goes out and can prove to me that you make 100, not 100 contacts, but you actually have 100 conversations in a week, I'll write you a check for $10,000. How many of you would do it? What is the freaking difference? $6,700 more. Why is our mindset not like that? We know the transactions are there. 72,000 sides are going to happen this year. Yes? We can figure out the averages, work the numbers backwards. So what keeps you coming? Somebody give me an answer.
For most of the realtors is that they get busy with the transactions.
What transactions?
There you go.
Actually,
That's the feeling for them. I mean,
That might be the stated reason, but it's not the real reason, I don't think.
so Ashley, you're saying if I go out to make 100 transactions, 100 conversations this coming week, you'll write me a check for 10,000.
So if I were to propose that, you'd do it. But that'd be way under what you already earned, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, it's $10,000.
That's the point, though. How many? Of course we would all do it. And yet you're not doing it for a bigger amount of money that, by the way, guys, isn't going to come any other way.
So what's your definition of conversation?
I talked to you about real estate and asked you if you want to buy or sell.
That's it?
And if you don't, do you know anybody who would like to?
Okay.
It's a pretty easy conversation. We went over this last month. What's the conversation? I don't know if you know how wacky our real estate market is right now, but I've got 400 buyers in my office looking for a home. Who do you know that wants to sell? Is that hard? So somebody said fear. Who's afraid? It's okay if you are. We all have been there.
afraid of a no, yes. I mean, people are afraid of people saying no. They feel frustrated.
Okay?
Let me add something to the conversation that you're having. It's very important to have a lead generation, but it's also very important to go to the lead follow-up. And then right after the lead follow-up, set appointments.
There's every realtor either you have a lead generation problem, meaning you don't have enough leads on the front end, or you have a lead follow-up problem, or you might actually have both. I've never met an agent who didn't at least have one or the other, okay? I think for our agents, most of it is on the front end, is the lead generation part. It may be fear. It may also be, I don't know what to do. Does anybody feel like, I just don't know what the most effective thing I can be doing is? Raise your hands if it's okay. This is a safe room. Okay, write this number down.
I've mastered one of them.
Page 137 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book shows you almost every way to generate leads. Because it's not just cold calling. There's a lot. That page is full. In fact, it's 2 different columns.
It has also market.
There are some leverage pieces that are, meaning if you do them, you'll have more conversations more quickly. There are things that you can stay behind your computer and hide from people if you really want to. But pick 1 or 2, and I'm going to challenge you, put a 2-week sprint in. How many of you could do almost anything for 2 weeks if it meant I could make $50,000? Anybody done an extreme diet before? Thought, oh, I could do it for 2 weeks? Treat the next 2 weeks as that in your business. Because if you hit it hard for 2 weeks, we know you're going to, could you talk to 100 people in 2 weeks?
Yes.
So if you hit it really hard and maybe have 20 conversations a day as your sole focus, how many conversations would that be if you're taking a day off a week? Wait, Linda. How many conversations? 6 days a week, 2 weeks.
240.
240 conversations. If we go back to the 100-to-1 ratio, how many deals is that?
2.5.
2.5 times $16,000.
32,000.
Yes.
Actually, I've been getting calls from sellers, right? But some of the prices is just not realistic.
You're getting calls from who?
Sellers,
Sellers?
they contact me, yeah. And
Okay.
then what they are asking is just way above the market price.
Okay.
So what's the best strategy to work? I mean, I'm just like, this is the market price, I keep your property in mind. So when I have buyer might be looking for that, willing to pay up close to that price, I'll send it.
You can do that. Here's what unfortunately, it's so property dependent because what did I ask last month? I said, give me one word to describe this market. And my favorite one was irrational. Do people get irrational in bidding wars?
Yes.
But we've seen properties, the one Ricky Silver had that had in 2 hours, 200 people through it, went 50% over list price. So I don't know that we can say your property's not going to sell for that. Logically, we can say the numbers don't show that, but it's an irrational market. This would be the only time, and I mean probably for the next year, that I'd test the market.
Okay.
Isn't it crazy? You would never hear me say that. I'd test it.
So still take the listing and list it?
What do you have to lose?
Put a clause in it.
Well, the clause is the price. They don't get their price. Does anybody disagree with that? Because I know, it's weird, but it's, yeah.
Appraisal issues though.
You can waive the appraisal. We've seen it happen. People are, all the time. I know. Not fair for maybe the buyers that we have that can't do that, but when there's an irrational market, does this happen in the luxury market all the time?
Yes.
All the time, guys. People with money gonna make a bet. We had an agent here visiting from Beverly Hills a couple weeks ago, and he literally sells the multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills, Hollywood Hills homes. And he sold a $9 million property to a guy 6 months ago. The guy didn't like it once he moved in. Said, I need you to sell it. 6 months later. What do you think they got? $14 million. He said, don't get used to this. Oh my God! Irrational.
I'm running into issues contacting sellers who may want to sell but will not because there's nothing to buy. So they start looking at what's out there and they go, you know what, I can't get anything better than what I have now. How do you?
That's true. I think that's just a condition of our market we need to realize.
Well, yes and no, because you have different brackets. If you have a $500,000 property for sale, you have much more people than a $600,000. So that
Do you though?
$100,000 difference, maybe you
It
have
could be.
better chances.
It
Maybe.
could. I'll say the most powerful position there is to go find their replacement property.
And then it's gone before, so this is, I've been working on this with one.
Well,
client.
how many of you have a buyer that would buy a property subject to the owner finding a replacement property? We have 400 buyers in the room, so you can list it with the contingency. You're not gonna get a buyer probably accepted if they're contingent, but your seller can be contingent. And there is that sweet spot. I don't think it's between 5 and 6. I think you're gonna have more room, just because you look at the numbers, we've got so much demand up to 9. If you're straddling between 750 and 9, you probably are in a good spot. Does that make sense to everybody? Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, fun?
Exciting.
Sounds like the definition of fun.
You know, actually,
I will tell you, it's more fun than when we have 10 months of inventory and people's values are going backwards and you have to sit with that seller and say, I'm sorry, you're gonna lose your shirt on this.
you know, like La Jolla listing at 5.5, I mean, yeah, it's great view, but the house is most like, pretty much have to tear down. And then the whole thing is not the case. 3 days, 3 cash offer, all 5.5, and all 10-day closing, and it not going to escrow, 10-day closing, 6 million.
Did you all hear that? Would you like me to translate on this side of the room? La Jolla property, $5.5 million list price. 3 days?
3 days.
3 days,
cash
3
offer.
offers, cash, all over
10-day
asking, 10-day closing. And it basically is a scraper.
Went broke.
5.5 million, and it went over that.
Yeah, 6 million was the escrow.
Crazy. We see it on Coronado all the time. It's insanity. Here's a $3 million scraper. Then I'll put another $3 million house on top of it. Can't be fun. Any other questions? Take the slides, use them, raise your right hand. Be the one that most of you write with. Raise your right hand.
My left
I
hand.
will. Read these slides. And through the attached links. Thank you.